Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between MYMDemuslim and Jinro here on Lost Temple. Jinro spawning as the yellow Terran at the bottom 7 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have the Muslim spawning as the teal Zerg here on Lost Temple. So yeah, just trying to change up the game a little. He went from Protoss to Zerg, and we'll see how this matchup will particularly work out. Now, Terran versus Zerg, a pretty standard matchup. I'm expecting to see Thors from Jinro, perhaps maybe some Hellion harass. Anything is really open at this stage in the game. Really don't know too much about the Muslim strategy in terms of I really don't know much about the Muslim strategy and what he's really going to be trying to do as a Zerg player. So we'll see if he tries to go for an early rush, perhaps some Zerglings, but even then Reapers are a strong counter to those early Zerglings. We may see a Baneling front door push, as I've been talking about that for quite some time, but I haven't seen any of the professional players really pull that off. Those Banelings dealing a significant amount of damage. I think the splash radius for their explosion on buildings is a little bit too large, as it can hit a supply depot. I think it can go past one supply depot and hit the supply depot behind it. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to double check that as I watch some of these replays where I've lost to that Baneling front door push through. Anyways, the Muslim now looking to getting that spawning pool. So going for a 14 spawning pool there. And we'll see whether or not that really is going to affect his strategy. It looks like he wanted to get a stronger economy, so that a stronger economy usually means for a 14 spawning pool into a hatchery, into a fast expand hatchery, and then delaying that queen just a little bit. Both players, Jinro now moving around with this SCV. SCV going to go ahead and spot up on the wrong side of that camp, not really knowing where it is. However, a drone also moving out, going to quickly find out that this is going to be a cross spawn. So this is probably the best time for MYMDemuslim to set up that hatchery. So yeah, hatchery now coming in, and now also getting an extractor as well. So slow down his production just a little bit, and now gonna get that spawning pool. Spawning pool gonna create 3 Zerglings instantaneously, essentially, and then try to get that queen up as well. So queen being produced as well. So queen gonna be a little bit delayed, but not by too much. However, gonna have an SCV gonna mosey on up to that north side and quickly find out that there is in fact a fast hatchery expansion and a couple of Zerglings already being produced. Already sees that spawning pool. Zerglings gonna make short work of that FCV. SCV, that space conduction vehicle, not very durable at all. So Zerglings now once again on the move, no longer moving that quickly on that creep, as that second hatchery is now up and running. We'll see how this is really going to work, as that drone of the Muslim now running back home, going for a double wall here. So now this is a very common strategy that I see a lot of players doing against Zerg, just because of the Banelings right now. That Banelings forcing you to be able to try to get those reactors, or trying to get a stronger buildings able to take more damage against that Baneling front door. However, we have a single Marine, and that one Marine will try to fend off all of these Zerglings. Those Zerglings may be able to just run on up, doing a lift off and then pulling back, and that's a little bit of a risk right there. So, and now perhaps is he gonna drop down that tech lab? Now start producing the Marines? No, not producing Marines. Getting that tech lab first, and then probably gonna swap it back over for Marines and Marauders and Hellions. SCV now running back to the base, trying to see if that hatchery is in fact up and running. Second queen already being produced, switching the Roach and Baneling tech all together in order to get to tier 2. So we may either have Mutalisk or Hydralisk. Yes, there is that tech lab switch. So tech lab and that reactor switch. Hellions now being produced along with Marauders. That is a very, very gas light building, so that should work out fairly well. Now finally getting that second gas refinery up for Jinro. So Jinro going to be trying to mine out that gas. Income wise, we have Jinro sitting at 20 harvesters compared to the Muslims 19. However, Jinro getting that economic advantage off of that single mule over there. And now we have some Zerglings running around, going to be running into these Hellions. Hellions going to get in a couple of those free hits right there, and quickly taking down one of those Zerglings. So all 4 of those Zerglings now very, very low on hit points, as they once again pull back away, regenerating those hit points. We have a couple of Marauders and Marines on that high ground, and now getting a bunker on this low ground in order to be able to continue to press this attack. And we had a couple spine crawlers in position, so the Muslim protecting his mineral line fairly well. A couple Hellions not going to be able to really do all too much. I do not see any starport, however, but we do in fact have an armory, and we may see a Thor. Yeah, so the mighty Thor now going to be coming on out to deal its share of damage. And we already are at tier 2. Tier 2 getting that second extractor up. I do not see a Hydralisk Den, or no, oh, Hydralisk Roach Warren being hidden over here. Curious position for that Roach Warren and a Hydralisk Den. So the Muslim switching his tech up and now going for Roaches and Hydralisk, and perhaps we'll see an Evolution Chamber come down for that range weapon upgrade as well. So single Queen, a couple units sitting down over here, so very, very nicely defended. No tech, no research tech just yet. Bunker, I do not believe that those Marauders have the concussive shell upgrade, so those units are not going to be any slower. As Jinro now mining down with those Mule. Taking a look at the army sizes, we have Jinro sitting at a 1650 army versus the Muslims 0. So 2 Queens, yeah, no Zerglings, nothing. Just that is it. So a single Thor now up and running, and we'll see how that's really going to be used. More supply depots now need to be put in. Starport now dropping. It should be producing a medevac shortly for those Hellions to perhaps do some harassment, but it's going to be too little too late as those Roaches are now trying to macro up a little bit more. Hellions now activating this Zelnaga Watchtower, trying to keep tabs on this army. A creep tumor being built and quickly getting taken down. Those Hellions will be able to take down some of those Hydralisks, trying to do a little bit of that splash damage, trying to have those Hydralisks walk into that damage, but those Hydralisks, even though they walked into a little bit of that flame, did not take any damage. So Roaches and Hydralisks for MYMDemuslim. Back over here, we are now going into triple racks with a single factory, and now a medevac on that, or a single medevac now out. Is he going to do some Thor dropping? Yeah, we are going to have some Thor dropping. So a medevac now, that single medevac carrying that cargo. Thor now trying to do a little bit of a run now, trying to take down those Hydralisks. If those Hydralisks get taken down, there's not much really that that those Thors can really do, or against, or sorry, those Hydralisks can really do against, or the Roaches can really do against that one medevac. Medevac perhaps going to be dropped off here, and then be able to shoot back on from that high ground. That should be fairly interesting. Roaches now once again on the move. Hellions still doing a little bit of scouting, and this is just all going to be fairly interesting as that Thor now coming in, dropping in with those javelin missiles. That poor Overlord down to 108 hit points, down to 74. Thor shooting very slowly. And it's hard to imagine that that Thor is a 6 food unit, taking so many rounds just to take down one single air unit. So now in comes this Thor. Thor may have enough range. Yeah, it has enough range to take down that Spine Crawler. Spine Crawler unable to shoot back onto that high ground, and now going to take down some of those drones, and now taking down these Overlords as well. So those Overlords coming back in, that one Thor trying to pull back away, trying to get back within range, and now shooting those Overlords. Overlords continuing to pull back away, so that single Thor just trying to delay as much as possible. Gonna go ahead and start shooting some of these drones once again, and now gonna start shooting these Hydralisks. So those Hydralisks coming back in, and more units trying to get into position. That Thor getting as far away as he can, and now we have an Overlord with that speed upgrade. So that Overlord with that speed upgrade will be able to take a fair amount of shots before needing to pull back. Anyways, we have the Hellion. However, we're coming back over here trying to do a little bit of harassment over in that main base, and now that Thor almost taking down that Overlord, continuing to take down these drones. So a single Thor dealing a fair amount of damage, really stopping the harvesting out of the main base. Jinro sitting on 44 harvesters. The Muslim now down to 32, and now, however, the Muslim trying to continue to do some more expanding. A medevac now in the air, perhaps trying to offer some additional support. We'll see how this is going to work, as there's 3 Thors in this main base, going to be able to intercept any of these Hydralisks and Roaches as they're coming in. So yeah, this looking to be a fairly decent sight. In come these Roaches. Roaches trying to fight back, and Thor is going to make short work of the rest of these units. Concussive shells have been researched, so those units once again pulling back. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between Jinro and MYMDemuslim here on Lost Temple.